evening. You're watching ARIRANG News at 8. It's Thursday, February 13th here in Korea. Live from Seoul, I am Ji-hae. We begin this evening with U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry's visit to Korea. He arrived in Seoul this afternoon on the first stop of his fifth trip to Asia since taking the top post. After paying a courtesy call to President Park Geun-hye, Secretary Kerry is now meeting with his South Korean counterpart Yun Byung-se at Seoul's Foreign Ministry. For the latest, let's go live to our correspondent Hwang Sung-hee on site. Now, Sung-hee, what were some of the key issues discussed at today's meeting?
Good evening, Ji-hae. This is the second time for the two officials to meet this year, and they have a lot to discuss at today's talks, ranging from global issues to regional issues, as well as North Korea's nuclear program. However, this time around, topping the agenda will be the upcoming high-level talks between the two Koreas, which is scheduled to take place tomorrow. The two diplomats will evaluate the sincerity of North Korea's recent peace offensives and also discuss countermeasures against the regime's possible provocation once Seoul and Washington begin their joint military drills at the end of this month. North Korea has been calling on the two countries to cancel the military exercises, saying it is a practice for war. Now, another key issue to be discussed is how to secure peace in Northeast Asia amid Japan's ongoing denial of its historical wrongdoings. Yun is expected to stress that such actions by Japan is heightening tensions in Northeast Asia, while Kerry is to explain that improved ties between Seoul and Tokyo is vital for stability in the region. The two sides will also touch upon U.S. President Barack Obama's upcoming visit to Seoul in April and fine-tune plans for his trip. Now, once they wrap up their talks, they will hold a joint press conference here and announce the results of today's meeting. I'll have more details on that for you in our later newscast. For now, back to you, Ji-hae.
All right, thank you, Sung-hee, for the update. We'll get back to you soon. There's Hwang Sung-hee reporting live on the Foreign Ministry on Secretary Kerry's visit to Seoul. Now, meanwhile, U.S. President Barack Obama will be visiting Seoul in April as part of his Asia tour after rising pressure from Seoul and from the Asia policy community in Washington. Our Ji Myung-gil has more on what his trip may signify.
U.S. President Barack Obama has added South Korea to the itinerary for his upcoming trip to Asia. The White House confirmed on Wednesday that the Asia trip is part of Obama's ongoing commitment to increase U.S. diplomatic, economic, and security engagement with countries in the Asia-Pacific region. Although no dates have been released yet, it's reported the president will visit Tokyo first from April 22nd to 23rd, then Seoul from the 23rd to the 24th. During his stay in Seoul, the U.S. president plans to meet with President Park Geun-hye, where they are expected to reaffirm the two sides' alliance, review the security situation on the peninsula, and discuss the Korea-U.S. free trade deal. Now that Seoul is on the itinerary, speculation is rising as to whether President Obama will address the prickly relations between Seoul and Tokyo. A number of disputes over history and territory have chilled relations between the two, especially after Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe visited a shrine honoring convicted war criminals in December. Obama may, however, choose to stay away from arbitrating the complex historical problems and territorial disputes between the two. North Korea's nuclear program will top the agenda when Park and Obama meet, along with the timing of the transfer of wartime operational control of U.S. forces in South Korea from the U.S. to South Korea. The transfer date was originally slated for next year, but South Korea has been pushing for a delay. April will also be a critical time for trade negotiations. Obama is expected to try to push to tie the Korea-U.S. Free Trade Agreement to the Trans-Pacific Partnership Free Trade Pact that includes 12 nations, as Korean participation in the partnership could further cement a future trading order in Asia that would include North America. Ji Myung-gil, ARIRANG News.
The two Koreas will resume high-level talks tomorrow morning after their first dialogue in 7 years held on Wednesday failed to make much progress. Our Park Jiwon tells us more.
South and North Korea will hold another round of high-level talks on Friday at Panmunjom, the border town between two Koreas.
At around noon, North Korea suggested that the two Koreas resume high-level inter-Korean talks at Panmunjom at 3 p.m. Thursday afternoon, but we countered with an offer of 10 a.m. on Friday, which the North accepted.
The meeting will be a follow-up to high-level talks that began on Wednesday and ended 14 hours later with no concrete agreement in place. The two sides did agree in principle to proceed as planned with reunions for families separated by the Korean War from the 20th to the 25th. But the North also urged South Korea to postpone its joint military exercises with the United States that are slated to start February 24th. South Korea's defense ministry rejected that call on Thursday and reiterated that the annual drills are strictly defensive in nature.
The ministry does not consider it appropriate to link defensive military drills for national security with family reunions that serve humanitarian purposes.
Unification Minister Ryu Gil-jae, in an appearance at the National Assembly on Thursday, said he still expects the reunions to be held as scheduled. As for Friday's talks, the Unification Ministry believes Pyongyang asked for another meeting because Wednesday's had finished without a resolution. Park Jiwon, ARIRANG News.
And foreign experts take on the latest inter-Korean talks hamstrung by a row over Seoul, Washington military drills. We go one-on-one with Professor Park Geun-hye in International Relations at Kookmin University. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yes.
Professor, so the 14-hour-long marathon talks ended without any specific agreement. What explains the disappointing outcome? Do you think a lack of preparation from both sides are to blame?
Before that, I would like to say that your expression that the row over Seoul, Washington military drills, the military drill is inherent and natural right of sovereign state of alliances. There should be no dispute over that. That means that North Korea should be blamed for using that as an excuse to change some agreements over family reunions. And secondly, I would like to say that one meeting cannot produce anything. We met 7 years, so we need to wait for more meeting. And at least I think we had chance to understand what North Korea want to say or want to do and what is real intention of North Korea. And so it is not fruitless, I think.
But nonetheless, a lot of the pundits saw this as a significant development in inter-Korean relations. Why would North Korea kill the momentum?
Because we don't know the North Korea's intention, so we cannot judge that North Korea killed momentum or not. North Korea may have make any success if they have certain kind of secret intention. However, one thing I would like to say is that one meeting cannot solve anything. We expected some kind of very significant breakthrough in 2000 when Kim Dae-jung met Kim Jong-un, and 2007 when our President Roh met Kim Jong-il. But the implementation was not that good, so the South-North relations are still not good. So it is premature to expect some kind of breakthroughs by one meeting or a few meetings.
But we have about a week to go until the reunions to take place. Do you think it will go ahead as planned?
I think there are very strong possibility of cancellation of that reunion, because North Korea said that the reunion should not occur during the exercise period. And our exercise is scheduled to continue until the mid-April. If we accept the North Korea's positions, we should delay the reunion schedule until the mid-April. And nobody knows what would happen during that time frame. So judging from the past experience, cancellation of the family reunions in last September, just 4 days before that meeting, and cancellation of the higher officials meeting in last June, just 1 day before. So North Korea has some kind of history of canceling all the meetings without any consultation with South Korea.
I see. Well, the two sides will meet again tomorrow for the follow-up talks. Will they be able to break the deadlock or make any progress?
it is very difficult to predict, but it will be 2 meetings, and I don't think we can make any breakthroughs by 2 meetings. One thing I would like to emphasize here is that should we agree on all the requests of meetings of North Korea? That means we agreed to meet without knowing what North Korea would like to say. And right now, we don't know what North Korea will say tomorrow. I think as you said, that we need to identify, know their intentions and their schedules before agreeing to that meeting, I think.
But we already said we are going to take part in the meeting. Do you think South Korea is making the right moves so far?
Yes, I told you before, at least we should understand what North Korea's intention and North Korea would like to do. If we clearly know the North Korea's intention, we would take some appropriate measures to respond to that intention, and we may plan the next moves. So I think our government officials, agreed to know what North Korea would like to say and would like to act.
All right, Professor Park, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Yes, my pleasure.
Very vivid.
Touch base with journalists, experts, and analysts who are taking the pulse of Asia's heartbeat.
South Korea's defense minister.
In a lively half hour, join ARIRANG's Ji-hae for the day's top stories, current affairs, business, technology trends, plus global weather forecasts and more. ARIRANG News. Every weeknight, live on ARIRANG TV.
For most Korean students, private tutoring is not an option. It's a requirement to ensure they don't fall behind. But President Park Geun-hye wants that to change, and the Education Ministry, in its status report to the President, unveiled measures to do that end on this Thursday. Our Presidential Office correspondent Oh Jin-ju reports.
In an effort to reduce private tutoring and get students more focused on their schooling, the government will force universities to give a 0 mark on applications that include awards or certificates received outside of school. These will include TOEFL or other English language test scores, Math and Science Olympiad awards, and extracurricular education prizes received from private institutions. During the Education Ministry's status report on Thursday, President Park emphasized the need to keep the education system from pushing students to take upper grade courses in advance in an attempt to reduce mounting private tutoring expenses in the country. In particular, she pointed to the excessive pursuit of English language education in Korea, saying that there must be fundamental measures to put brakes on the trend. With regard to the controversy surrounding history textbooks as to whether they lean to the left or right, President Park ordered the ministry to make sure history textbooks are based on facts and have a balanced perspective. The president also slammed the Culture and Sports Ministry, which gave a status report along with the Education Ministry on Thursday, and ordered them to look into what caused Korean short track speed skating star An Yun-soo, who won a bronze medal at the Sochi Winter Olympics on Monday, to change his nationality.
안 선수의 문제가 파벌주의와 줄 세우기, 심판 부정 등 체육계 저변에 깔려 있는 부조리와 구조적 난맥상에 의한 것은 아닌지 되돌아봐야 하겠습니다.
An won 3 Olympic gold medals for Korea in 2006, but became a naturalized Russian citizen in 2011 after failing to qualify for the national team ahead of the 2010 Vancouver Winter Olympics. An's family claims that was due to fractional feuds in the sports sector. President Park called for a system in which athletes could be evaluated based solely on their performance and one in which the fairness of referees was guaranteed. She urged the ministry to come up with measures to root out corruption in the sports arena. Oh Jin-ju, ARIRANG News.
The country's financial regulator has vowed to upgrade the data protection system as Korea reels from the shock of the largest ever personal information breach in its history. During a meeting at the National Assembly Thursday, Financial Services Commission Chair Shin Jae-yun reiterated the importance of protecting client data and vowed to improve the nation's data security structure in order to regain the public trust. Shin also offered an apology for the leak. He confirmed that the previously proposed 3-month suspension of business at the 3 card firms where the leak occurred will begin as early as Friday. Domestic banks have been put on high alert as their net profit last year was slashed in half. The Financial Supervisory Service said Thursday that the net profit of 18 domestic banks came in at 4 trillion won, or roughly $3.7 billion in 2013, which represents a more than 50% drop from the year before. The drop was particularly pronounced in the fourth quarter of last year, when a loss of $94 million was recorded. An official at the financial watchdog attributed the numbers to low interest rates and bad loans. Adding to the worries, the interest margin rate fell significantly to nearly 1.87%, the lowest in 10 years. Now, one of the biggest and most recognizable tech companies in the world is gearing up to make a huge investment in Korea. Microsoft says it plans to build a massive data center worth more than $9 billion somewhere in the country, but it hasn't decided on the location yet. Yudian reports.
Microsoft's plans to build a data center in Korea would make it by far the largest investment ever made in Korea by a global technology firm. Microsoft Korea said on Wednesday that its head office will build a data center on 330,000 square meters of land. While the exact amount is yet to be decided, Microsoft is looking to invest over 10 trillion won, or roughly $9.4 billion into the project. Considering the scale of the project and the investment, Microsoft's data center could be the largest of its kind in all of Asia. It will be twice as big as the data center Google says it plans to build in Taiwan. The data center will also serve as a facility to provide a backup service for data flowing in from Asia and other parts of the world. A delegation from Microsoft has reportedly already visited Korea to look at possible sites, with the southernmost port city of Busan rising as a strong candidate. Microsoft is believed to have chosen Korea for its data center as the country holds excellent maintenance and repair manpower, is less prone to natural disasters, and has cheap electricity. Yurian, ARIRANG News.
Almost a week has passed since the Sochi Winter Olympics kicked off last Friday, and in that course of time, we've already seen the Games yield a rich menu of winners and losers. From the rise of new champs to the fall of old champs, we go over to our ARIRANG News' Song Ji-san, who's been following the Games. Now, Ji-san, let's start with a rather disappointing exit of a Korean defending gold medalist.
I know, Ji-hae, it seems like the Dutch skaters really stepped up their games over the past 4 years. Korea's Mo Tae-bum won 2 medals back in Vancouver, a gold in 500 and a silver in 1,000 meters. But despite the intense training for the 1,000 meter, Mo finished 12th place in this event, meaning he'll be leaving Sochi without a medal. Stefan Groothuis of the Netherlands won the event in a minute 8.39 seconds. Canada's Danny Morrison followed, and another Dutch speed skater, Michael Mulder, won the bronze, making him the first multi-medalist in Sochi after his gold in the men's 500 meters. And taking you now over to the Iceberg Skating Palace, a couple of Russian pairs took home gold and silver after winning the team event earlier this week. Skating a long program to Jesus Christ Superstar, current world champion pair Tatiana Volozar and Maksim Trankov finished with a combined 236.86 points, that is, and keeping their lead from the short program. Russia's Ksenia Sobova and Fedor Klimov claimed the silver, and Germany's Alina Savchenko and Robin Salkowy came in third. And tonight, men's short program starts at midnight Korea time. And over to the snow, just like in the men's event, women's snowboarding has a new champion in the half pipe, and 3 former Olympic champions had to settle for being runners-up. It's a 24-year-old American, Caitlin Farrington, who didn't stand out too much in the previous X Games or the FIS World Cups. But she nailed it in the world's biggest sporting event with a stunning run at 91.75 points. Returning Vancouver champion, Australian Tora Bright missed out on gold by just a quarter of a point, and American Kelly Clark, the 2002 Salt Lake City winner, took home the bronze. Torino 2006 gold medalist Hannah Tedder missed out the podium, also by just a quarter of a point. And the first slopestyle event in men's freestyle skiing has just wrapped up, with Team USA sweeping all 3 medals. We'll have details on that event soon, and that brings Team USA to 4th place in overall medal count. Taking a closer look at the medal standings as of this Thursday evening, Germany is now on top after gathering another medal in the luge. That's 3 golds now for the Germans in this event. Canada and Norway follow, and the Netherlands is in 5th place with all of its medals coming from speed skating. Now, as you saw in the medal standings just now, each country has its own strength, and that used to be the short track speed skating for Team Korea. But the squad hasn't earned any medals in the short track just yet. But the semi-final for the women's 500 meter has just wrapped up, with Korea's Park Geun-hye advanced to the final round, which is set for 9:05 p.m. Korea time. Also, Korea's first gold medalist, Lee Sang-hwa, will be back on the track in 1,000 meter speed skating, although it's not her strongest event. Well, I'll keep you updated with live results from short track and elsewhere throughout the night. Ji-hae?
All right, Ji-san, we'll see you back at 10 p.m. Korea time on our primetime news, and hope to hear more golden news from Team Korea tonight. And for those of us who don't have a front row seat to the Olympics but still wish to follow all the action in Sochi even when on the go, local tech firms have developed smartphone apps. Apolli tells us more.
Whether it's catching a glimpse of figure skating star Kim Yeon-ah or speed skating legend Lee Sang-hwa, watching Team Korea compete on the ice is a must-see experience for fans here at home and abroad. To ensure fans never miss a single Olympic event, local web portal firms have released their own mobile applications to celebrate the Winter Games. Designed for smartphones and tablet PCs, the special apps offer video on demand and real-time streaming services of the races and events. Many users say the services are convenient to use whenever or wherever they want to catch up on the latest highlights.
Even though the events I'm interested in take place at night, I'm still able to watch them on my mobile. I also leave supportive comments and view information on the athletes.
Korea's internet-based television or IPTV industry has also jumped on board. The mobile IPTV apps are now available to give users unlimited access to high-definition broadcasts of the games.
At the Sochi Olympics and other national events, it's important for Koreans to collectively cheer on and support our national athletes. That's why we're offering data and content usage relating to the Sochi Olympics free of charge.
With the proliferation of smartphones, it's never been easier to watch your favorite athletes take on the world and hopefully rise to the top of the podium. Paul Yi, ARIRANG News.
For 8 straight days, snow has fallen on the eastern province of Gangwon-do with an additional 30 centimeters of snow coming down overnight. For more, let's go over to our Kim Bo-kyung at the Weather Center. Now, Bo-kyung, what's the latest?
Well, Ji-hae, about 1,800 people will be deployed to help with cleanup operations in Gangwon, and officials estimate that about $3.3 million worth of damage was done due to the heavy snowfall, and more snow is on its way. Moving on to our current conditions, the nation is at the edge of a high-pressure system, which is why we're seeing cloudy skies across the map. Well, tomorrow is not only Valentine's Day, but also Jeongwol Daeborum, which is the first full moon of the year according to the lunar calendar. Chances are slim of catching a full moon in the East Coast regions, but the rest of the nation should be able to check out a bright full moon. Other than that, the Gangwon-do and Gyeongsang-buk-do provinces are seeing on and off snow at this hour, but that will come to an end tomorrow morning. Taking a look at tomorrow's readings, Seoul and Busan hit 7 degrees, meanwhile Gwangju reaches 9. Moving on to other regions, Jeju tops out at 9 degrees, while Dokdo and Mount Kumgang peak at 3 and -8 degrees respectively. Well, that's all I have for you this hour, and let's take a look at the international weather.
And that's all the news we are following at this hour. I'm Ji-hae in Seoul. Thanks for watching.